During reading, strategies 12 through 17. For this lesson, you need your self-assessment questionnaire of strategies that good readers use. Look under the heading of During Reading. Look to see how you rated yourself on 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. These are the strategies we will practice in this lesson. Number 12 is I make connections, text to self, text to world, text to text. Number 13 is I integrate what I'm learning with what I already know. Number 14 is I react emotionally to text. Number 15, I create visual and other sensory images to enhance my comprehension. 16, I ask questions of myself, the text, and the author. 17, I stop periodically to review, summarize, and reflect on what I'm reading. First, I'll briefly discuss the meaning and importance of each one. Then I'll read the first few paragraphs of Mr. Pip and think aloud as I practice using these strategies. Remember that our definition of reading is active construction of meaning before, during, and after you read. We've learned the value of previewing other before reading strategies, such as focusing our full attention and monitoring comprehension using metacognition. Also, we've learned strategies for fixing comprehension. Now let's look at some of those thinking actions, cognitive activities, that good readers truly enjoy. These are the ones that make reading such a valuable and pleasurable experience. If you practice these, I promise you will get hooked on reading. Let me say that again. If you practice these, I promise you will get hooked on reading. Now that's a deal you can hardly refuse. Number 12, I make connections, text to self, text to world, text to text. Remember that network of interconnected neurons and dendrites we learned about in a previous strategy lesson? That network is called schema, or background knowledge. It is the sum total of all our knowledge, memories of life experience, emotional memories, and sensory memories, like memories of sounds and smells, etc. When we're learning something new, we can understand it better and remember it better if we connect it to something we already know. That's what we are doing when we make connections. We're connecting new information into our existing schema. This literally means our understanding of ourselves and the world is growing. I like that. A text-to-self connection means that something we are reading about reminds us of a personal experience, something we have actually experienced or struggled with. A text-to-world connection means that something we are reading about reminds us of something going on in the world, but not necessarily anything we have experienced personally. A text-to-text quotation connection means that something we are reading about reminds us of something from another book or piece of writing, a movie, a song, a play, or even art. Each time we make a connection, we expand our knowledge and understanding. We are purposely and intentionally doing number 13, which is integrating what we're learning with what we already know. Number 14, I react emotionally to text. Brain research in recent years has revealed the huge, important, and powerful role of emotion in learning and memory. This is easily illustrated. Each of you probably remembers where you were, who you were with, how you felt, and many other vivid details when terrorists flew planes into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon on September 11, 2001. Indeed, all anyone has to say is 9/11, and those memories come flooding back. Adults from the 1960s generation have that same kind of vivid memory of President John F. Kennedy's assassination. Of course, all learning can't be so dramatic, but we can use the understanding of emotion's power to help us remember by consciously evoking it whenever possible. Even a dry, boring textbook can be made more interesting if we connect what we are learning to the goals we have for success in life. When we experience emotions, powerful chemicals are released in the brain and sear memories. When we remember the events, we re-experience the emotions associated with the events almost as strongly as the initial experience. Another example of how that works is people who have experienced traumatic events don't want to talk about it because it's too painful. Soldiers, for example, don't like to talk about their war experiences. When they do, one can see how strong the emotions still are, even when it is World War II veterans who are remembering events more than 70 years ago. How does it work in reading? When we engage our imagination and connect with characters, we can experience emotional responses such as anger and disgust with villains, or admiration for heroes, or sympathy for victims. When we engage with the plot, we experience emotions such as surprise and pleasure. Everyone loves a good plot twist. When we learn something profound about life, we are moved and grateful. When we notice a beautifully written passage, our brains experience great pleasure. Number 15 is I create visual and other sensory memories to enhance my comprehension. Visualizing is a very powerful ability our brains have. Many top athletes use this ability to improve their skills. Brain imaging shows that visualizing something causes activity in the same area of the brain that would be active if one is actually doing the activity. Visualizing is actually creating a movie in your head when you are reading. It is very entertaining. Good authors help this process by painting pictures with words and using words that stimulate the five senses. This is a great way to engage your imagination. Number 16 is I ask questions of myself, the text, and the author. Our brains are very curious. If we ask a question, we will read to answer that question. The questions keep us focused and motivated. I stop periodically to review, summarize, and reflect on what I'm reading. Review means to look again. Summarize means to state the main points. This is an invaluable way to stay in control of the reading process. You won't get lost if you practice this strategy. The more difficult the material, the more often you should stop, review, and summarize. It is a great time to predict test questions if you are going to be tested on what you read. Reflect means to think, ponder, and meditate. This is when you construct the deeper meanings that are so satisfying to our brilliant minds.